Hello everyone, this is Koji from Celestial Rhythms. Well, we are pretty much into the core of the shadow, just entering that core phase. This is the dark night of the soul for humanity, what we are experiencing right now. And we are just getting into the most important and transformative phase. This is based on the Mayan calendar. Let's just start with this for a minute. So today, as I'm recording this, April 1st, we are on this day here, 4 Lamat. That is the yellow self-existing star. See, we're in the third day of this red column here between March the 30th into April 8th. So this is the 260-day grid of the Mayan calendar, which is a galactic rhythm. That information was brought to humanity many thousand years ago by extraterrestrial nations. This is the frequency the whole galaxy is resonating with. It's the galactic calendar in that sense. It so happens that this 260-day round, and it just goes that way. You read vertically down, and then once you're at the bottom here, you start at the second column, and so on. So it's 13 times 20 days. 260 days happens to be the time of the human gestation between conception and birth, in an average 260 days. 26,000 light years away is the galactic center. The number 26 is the atomic number of iron, which is the final state of matter. If a star dies at the very end, all there is left is iron before it condenses and compresses even further down to a neutron star, a black hole, pulsar, which is really an altogether different dimension of physics. So 260 is a pretty powerful number, and this particular cycle started on the day after the solar eclipse on December 15th, 2020. December 14th, 2020, that was the last solar eclipse, total solar eclipse, which was visible down in Argentina and Chile. Eclipses are very important starting points. They plant very powerful seeds, and it is that imbalance between solar and lunar energy, which is there for a while, with the moon's shadow going over Earth. There's a subtle imbalance, and that's like something is entering this fabric of reality and getting engraved like a scar. So this is a powerful synchronicity. That's why this 260-day round proves to be so important. That kind of was the cosmic synchronicity. So the first, now these 260 days, they are grouped into naturally 20 times 13, but also 5 times 52, which are the 5 castles. So the first 52 days, they are the initiation of the light, as it says. They lasted through February 5, by February 5, we were here at one bend, which started the second castle, the white northern castle, the 52 days of purification. And we just entered the third castle, the one at the center of the calendar, which is the blue western castle of transformation. So first you have initiation, then you have purification, and now you have transformation, and after that we come to the full flowering. So the transformative force is naturally the most intense, where polarities really get to interact with each other. So that's where we just are here at the fourth day of this 52-day central period, which brings us into May 19. By May 19 we will be here in Kaban. So it is this whole month of April and the first 20 days of May which are in that core of the shadow, the transformation of that dark night of the soul, the breakthrough. The big shift will happen within this 52-day window. This is also showing very clearly in the alignment which we saw on that first day, on March the 29th. That was the first day of the blue western castle, one Chik-chan, the red magnetic celestial snake, an energy that's connected to instinct and survival, to holding the ground, to connecting with the belly, with the hara, with the sacral energy. So this is powerful stuff, and that this Sun Chiron conjunction occurred on that day. This is the chart for Greenwich, and here we look at the heliocentric chart. Heliocentric charts are the energy pattern before manifestation. Now you see, first of all, when the Sun is conjunct Chiron, that means, you see, the Sun is not in this chart because we are kind of standing on the Sun, being in the center of the Sun. The Sun is here, Earth is on this side, and Chiron is on the other side. So from Earth's perspective, you see the Sun and Chiron would be in the same line. So this is the basic idea of this chart, calculated for Greenwich, for the zero meridian, kind of parallel transference from the Sun's geometry down to Earth, that fractal principle. So what stands out here is Saturn exactly in the center of the chart, at the crown. This is the plumb line, the consciousness axis, the balance point, where there's a 0 point, you could say. If we look at left and right, the two sides of the chart look like your two hands reaching out to horizon in that sense, and because of the latitude of 51 degrees north, that this equator and the midheaven are not absolutely vertical all the time. This is just the geometry as is. This is a little hard to explain, but it is the fact that days can be really long and nights can be long, as the more north or south you go away from the equator. That's kind of that angle. Anyway, so the Saturn in midheaven, get real. That's what this really means. It's a touchdown with reality. Estrella. I love Estrella's energy. It's one of the first asteroids that was found, asteroid number 6. Estrella is about cleaning up, helping out, doing difficult jobs, rolling one's sleeves back, get the job done. Huya, transformation of past karma, very meaningful. Also dealing with past life issues, and naturally, if you look at it in a collective way, all we come out of is kind of our past life, will soon be history. We are just about in that resolution phase. So Huya has been really accentuated. Just want to say this is the American nation's ascendant. Just quickly blending into this. See, 13 degrees. Sag. This is the chart for July the 4th, 1776, the Independence Day. And the time which Dane Rudyard, probably the greatest astrologer of the 20th century, he has come up with this time, and it seems to absolutely resonate down to the day, sometimes with predictions. That's another story. I don't want to go too deep. I have at times gone a bit more deep into this chart. I definitely will in the future again. So for now, just keep in mind, this is the American nation's ascendant. So then, okay, we have Venus here very closely aligned with Chiron. Again, behind the sun, so to say. The sun is here, so there's a sun, Chiron, Venus conjunction, if we look at it geocentrically, and I just quickly beam you there, then you see what I mean. That's the geocentric picture. Chiron, Sun, and Venus. And you already see the special of that moment, as this shows up at the ascendant, at the sunrise point. So the sun has just come up over the eastern horizon in Washington DC when Chiron was at the apogee. Okay, this is the second chart I brought, I looked into, because you see, let's go back to this chart for a second. So Earth is here, the sun is here, and Chiron is kind of at its farthest distance from Earth on a yearly base. I mean, we move faster than Earth moves in a month, one sign, so we'll catch up to Chiron again within a bit more than half a year. But for now, we're at the farthest distance from Chiron, which is kind of a starting point of that energy to build into a new cycle, and that is the moment we are looking at here, which is slightly different from the conjunction to the elliptical orbits. So what this moment catches here is, and tells us that this month of April, which started with that Sun-Chiron conjunction, which is truly about uncovering the wound. What every good doctor has to do before he can treat it, he has to open it, clean it out, do the disinfection, and then the rest the body does by itself. Nature can take over once we have done the initial steps. That's pretty much what this says. So we just have to really look what is and accept it as is, and come to terms, know that it's always been that way. Yes, it has been really bad for a long time, but now it's coming out into the open. Now we can see it. So this is exciting. So we really have to be careful not to get carried away by looking at the darkness, which now has come out of the cracks everywhere. It is a good thing to have it come out. It is important. It is that first part of the healing process. It will all come to a natural conclusion once it's all exposed. That's the whole story here. So anyway, this shows that this month of April is the beginning of a longer period, actually of a pretty much 1 year period. It happens once every year that Chiron and the Sun are conjunct. So this is the beginning at sunrise point, very clearly. We're getting into really deep waters now. That's what it says here too, as I already pointed out in the Mayan calendar. So this chart is really powerful in many ways. We also see fullest and quawar here in a narrow conjunction, exactly at midheaven here in this Washington DC chart, the chart for the American nation's capital. Fullest is a centaur, quawar is a trans-Neptunian object. So fullest has a faster orbital period than quawar, so fullest is just about to catch up here to quawar. It's just shy of there. So, okay, keep that thought in your mind. It's shy of completion. Something is shy of completion, and fullest is always showing up when we finally have the courage to take that step, which we were hesitant for so long. It's kind of that moment you stand up on top of the 10-meter diving board above the pool or on the rock high up in the cliff, and you're just waiting for that moment when you finally have the courage to just let go and fall and trusting the body that you will have the right angle when you hit the water, and that will be just a so beautiful and refreshing experience to dive into the water at that speed. And yeah, I guess everybody who has done diving will know what I mean. This is kind of that energy. Fullest quawar is about creation. It's a creation force. And quawar has been quite powerfully activated lately too, together with Maki and Haumea. These are actually 3 smaller planets which all have been discovered within the last 20 years or so, and they all have been named after creation goddesses and gods. So there's lots of that creation theme around in many ways. Quawar is one of them. I also want to point out the lunar nodes here. We just recently had a lunar node Mars conjunction, which was kind of a realignment of priorities. What is important? What really is important right now? Okay, there's always this question. So many things one would like to do, one has to do, but what is really important? And that Mars North Node at the American nation's descendant again here at the 3rd house cusp. This is very meaningful, and this is the 9th house cusp. So the ascendant of the nation is here. You see, the ascendant 13 degrees again. So the ascendant at the 9th house. This is beautiful. This is really that departure, moment of departure, moment to really step into something new, something different, a higher frequency, to take that last step which one has been hesitant about so long. So this as a nation, yes, this has really is blowing the sails. It's really pushing. It's something is, or you could see that, say the dough is rising. It's now really bubbling. Something is really going on here. And we all know it. I mean, in our personal lives, we have just been pushed to that limit. People are starting to see through the maze. This is also beautifully showing up in astrology, as I pointed out, particularly with Neptune sextiled by Arrokoth here. These are both really slow moving. So Arrokoth is a very newly found one, relatively small, but it is the farthest away trans-Neptunian object which has been closely inspected by space probe, New Horizons space probe. In 2019 was that flyby. Anyway, the long and short, Arrokoth is about seeing the whole picture. A man standing under the open sky, looking into the stars and taking it all in, seeing the whole panorama, all the pieces of the puzzles coming together into making sense. I guess that's really the keyword here, that things start making sense. And that resonance with Neptune here and Mercury, it's bringing deception to light, making it, exposing it, pulling the curtain back so the old man can be seen, who's manipulating the buttons, and yeah, that's kind of the scenario here. And that has been going on since a few years. Again, keep in mind these are very slow moving planets. Interesting that the American nation's Arrokoth is here. Look, 2133 Pisces, that's the American nation's Astrological. So, okay, what does it say? It says that deception is brought right home into the center of our vision, and we can't overlook it anymore. It's put right in front of our faces in such an intensity that yeah, I guess it's just it's a natural happening at some point when things get so overdone, so exaggerated to such an enormous degree that it becomes ridiculous almost. It becomes totally, you can see through it. It's no more, it can't hold up anymore. So that's where we're at, and I guess again the American nation, yes, I'm using their chart and I'm using Washington because that's really where the people have now, we know there's enough Americans who are backing that, to expose that fraud, to expose all the dark stuff. All the people who voted for Donald Trump naturally are that majority. So all the planets, I'm up here in Canada, so all the planets, wherever there's millions of us who are rooting, holding the thumb, keeping their fingers crossed that things are going in the right direction, that the American people really will follow through, and they will. Yes, we can see it in astrology. It's just too obvious. It is a natural happening now at this point. It can't be averted, as the saying goes. Nothing can stop what's coming. Absolutely nothing. It's already happened. It's all in its tracks. Just as to fully manifest. So anyway, this is a very, very exciting start of that 52-day period of the blue western castle of transformation of the light into May 19. Okay, it starts getting intense in a few days. I guess we still are kind of spared through the holidays. This is pretty much a week from today when the black moon changes hexagrams, and I think this will be a starting point for getting really to the dark and difficult stuff, to get everything out of the box, because this is the breakdown of the shadow. This is the splitting apart of the shadow. Why do I say that? Okay, let's go one step at a time. So this is the heliocentric chart. Just I will come back to that. So let's go to the Greenwich chart, the global chart again, 0 meridian, Greenwich, an exact 7th of the circle north of the equator, 51 degrees and 26 minutes, and the fraction is the exact 7th of 360 degrees. So this is extremely close. That's why Greenwich is a PowerPoint. As I have said, it's the place where the umbilical cord, the cosmic umbilical cord, is attached to Earth in an energetic way spoken. So the black moon is the place where the moon is farthest away from Earth. It's apogee, if we use the astronomical term. The moon moves on an ellipse, and that's where the ellipse is farthest away from Earth. So this is like the deepest trench of the ocean, where things are buried, where all the shadows assemble, all the dark stuff which nobody wants to look at, and the moon is naturally related to emotional energies. So it's all the avoided and abused and not so really pushed away, because usually we don't want to deal with shadows. So anyway, splitting apart, that is the hexagram which starts here at this point when the moon will enter that zone on April 9, and it will be in there pretty much till end of May. I will show you here quickly. So this is the overlay of the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching, the Chinese book of changes, over the tropical zodiac. This is according to the human design system, which is a powerful system, by the way. So, okay, let's just zoom in here on the sign Taurus, where the black moon is. So this is that line of 18 degrees, 52 minutes and 30 seconds of arc into 24 and 30 minutes of arc. This is hexagram 23, and hexagram 23, I have it here. Okay, splitting apart. You see, that's the structure of the hexagram. It's the roof is caving in because the structure is so weak. That's the idea here. Below is Earth, the lower three lines, that's the trigram of Earth, and above is mountain. The idea, yes, that the structure is so weak that it caves in. So the shadow is caving in. That's kind of allegorical, but it definitely is totally meaningful in the greater context what's going on right now with Chiron and all. And I will show you a few more real powerful snippets. So, okay, when the moon, when the black moon enters this area, the moon is here at 14 degrees something Pisces, and there are these two centaurs which are very close by, within less than half a degree or just a little bit over. So very powerful, charging the moon, having the moon express their energies. Now, Nessus is pathological behavior. Okiroi is an amplifier. How about that? It's to be said that Nessus, I pointed it out repeatedly, in our present time is very strongly accentuated because it's in the same place as it is in the American Nations chart, and so is Orcus here on the other side in Virgo, and Nessus here. Nessus, as I say, pathological behaviors. Orcus on the other side, it's about ritual. So that brings the whole idea of a satanic ritual into play. But also Orcus is about transformation, about alchemy. That's the higher frequency, how it expresses. When on the lower frequencies it's ritual, on the higher frequency it's the alchemy. And true alchemy is really immaterial, it's a spiritual journey, it's just a metaphor for raising the frequency, raising the vibration, bringing another bandwidth of perception. I just want to show you quickly here, the ones who are not yet familiar with this. This is the American Nations chart again. Nessus here, Orcus here. You see very exact opposition. That's why the whole satanic abuse is getting to be exposed through the United States. I mean, it happened already quite a few years ago in the fall of 2016 with all the Podesta emails and stuff. Interesting that this is T squared here by Uranus, and over here is Therois. Therois, by the way, the mother bear's energy of protecting her cubs, very fierce energy. So this is a highly relevant grand square in the American Nations chart. Interesting also that this Orcus and Nessus here is intercepted in the 3rd and 9th house. So they were really not there very visible, they were very well hidden. That's just one little aspect of that interception. So let's go back to this black moon chart. No, I'm clicking the wrong thing here, sorry. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we looked at the moon, amplifying that Nessus energy, bringing it to the forefront. So that means it's probably at first getting really even more crazy. Sorry to say, it is just the nature of things. It's the incentive, it's lightening the fuse when things when they cross a line. It's really then there comes a moment where you just are shaken to be wakeful. That's what's happening in a big way. It's like humanity has been sleeping for so long, and all of a sudden now that the climate has changed and the buds are starting to open, very gentle, very cautiously at first, but it has started. It's a process which cannot be prevented. And this is just the first important task to dissolve the shadow. Let's put it that way. To get to the bottom of that dark night of the soul and dissolve the shadow. This 20 degrees Libra midheaven, the center of that consciousness of that energy, has its manifests in America, and 20 degrees Aries here at the root. Now look at this. It's the American nations chart again. What do you see here at 20 degrees Aries? Chiron and Juno. So it's a really bringing Chiron in again on another other level. Chiron here in the 4th house is the coming together as a people. That shows, I should say, how split the American nation was, how they managed to divide us by color, by race, by religion, by whatnot, by party line. Yes, and we know, I mean, those of us who have done the research, that this is all just intentionally created. People by themselves, they're very nice, like kids. They don't look at these superficial tags. Anyway, this is kind of the wound the American nation is suffering from, and as soon as we all come together and bond with each other, and that's what Juno here is representing. Juno is teamwork, helping one another, knowing that only by standing together and holding all up that big roof of a huge edifice, it's like being the pillars. That is the idea here, and that is what is happening. This is triggered here into manifestation, that unification. Again, we have Venus and the Sun here. Very similar to what we had here in the Sun Chiron conjunction, the apogee. So I should point out though that this is the Greenwich chart. So this is the global chart. It's just interesting how globally it plays the ball to America. Everybody on the whole globe who is in that frequency of awakening and knowing, they all know that the big shift will come from America. That's where our hope is. And that's pretty clear. So we are all helping in consciousness, in keeping the energy high, spreading the good news, doing what we can. This is now let's go to the next chart, right? Do I have it here? Oops, I guess I pressed. Okay, just bear with me for a sec. Guess I pressed the wrong button. Okay, no, it's coming. Just a bit slow here. Okay, so yeah, my computer is a little slow here, sorry. Okay, so here we are. That's the Greenwich chart, which we were just at. Now this is the... Okay, I didn't bring up the chart of the Black Moon ingress for Washington, but this is the midpoint chart, and I just thought I wanted to show you this too. This is the space-time midpoint where the two meet, the two universes, the universe of the American nation, so to say, and the universe of our present times. The two entities, and they meet in the middle. What stands out here is the moon again, here with Nessus and Astrea, again at 9 degrees Pisces, pretty close, 9 degrees Pisces. And again, I'm just quickly bringing that back. It's just really, it's unbelievable, the synchronicities we see here. Okay, we'll come up in a second. Just a little slow. Okay, yes. Okay, all kinds of stuff happens here. Okay. Here we go. That's the American nation chart. 9 degrees Pisces, you see? Nessus. Pathological behavior, abuse. And we all have been abused now. I mean, it's pretty obvious. That whole big, whatever you call it, virus thing is, from my perspective, a satanic abuse. It's exactly that. I mean, it's hard to wrap one's mind around it, being a human with a heart, that somebody would do that to inflict pain on others and suffering, and have that as something which pushes you up, which makes you happy or whatever, gives you pleasure. It's hard to conceive, but that's what it shows. That's the Nessus energy, and that's fully exposed now. That's getting so obvious and so clear. That's why it's so accentuated. Again, you see Nessus and Orcus here on the other side, the opposition I just pointed out before, with Uranus and Therois here making a grand cross. So let's see if I easily can get back to the other chart without going through the whole ordeal again. Let's see. Yeah, okay, I guess I made it. So yeah, 9 degrees Pisces, the midpoint, pretty obvious, pretty strong sign. Yes, we are in that core phase now, there's no question, or just about entering. Now let me go back to this chart, which I kind of skipped over. That's the heliocentric chart for that moment, how the energies are in the pre-manifest, and what stands out, you see, is this powerful T-square. Mars opposing Pluto, T-squaring Eris, the descendant, and Venus here, and the ascendant. So this is the Washington chart. This is how the energy is perceived through Washington's geographical location. Okay, Mars-Pluto. This is intense. This is a hard push. This is transformation on steroids, really being fired up. And with Aries here in the middle, Aries is the one really who is enjoying the show. I guess that's really what one can say about Aries. Aries is very committed to highest truth and understanding. Very honorable. But if something is not in balance, she will throw in sticks into the engines and get even to the point of triggering war and conflict, as the story goes the character this planet was named after. Eris, E-R-I-S, is a Greek goddess, the one who really initiated the Trojan War, so to say, threw in the golden apple of discord onto the table round of all the gods, making them to realize how discordant they were, how much they were not really on the same plate, on the same stage, and then they had to fight it out and find new balance. So that's kind of Eris squaring Pluto. This has been going on already for a few years, really tickling out transformation. Okay, get it going. And Venus is here. Venus-Mars again. Venus-Mars, whenever Venus-Mars have a hard aspect, this is about creation energies. Venus and Mars, two original genders, the only genders, biologically speaking. I guess which is the only real way to tell. Anyway, jokes aside. So this is on April the 8th. This will be getting exact. So expect energies to build up toward April the 8th. That's, as I say, next Thursday. That's a week from now when I do this recording. And then we get into really deep waters, and increasingly things that get, it's like I'm really pushing the lever into the red. And by the end of the month, I guess people will be at that place where an open revolt will break. Just this much. So this April is a very, very important month with that Aries energy. We looked at this chart already, and yes, this one too. Now let's go to the new moon chart of April the 11th for Washington. Well, I should say one more thing. Let's just quickly beam back to this once more here. I wanted to show you what is at 24 degrees Cancer in the American Nations chart. Let's see if it easily shifts. Yeah, it does. That's where Mercury is. 24:11. Opposing Pluto and Deucalion. Okay. Deucalion building the Noah's Ark. It's that foresight to prepare for something most people don't see coming. So it's the American nation as such which has this inbuilt program to be able to build structures ahead of time for them to be ready when we finally are there. And this is opposing Mercury, which is about the understanding of what's going on, the realization, and understanding is not really the best word, understanding you could say. So this is 24:11, 24:36. Now let's go back here and you will see 24:14, 25 here, Pluto by transit, just approaching this, what many astrologers have already spoken about, the big Pluto return of the American nation, to be exact, around in a year or two. Already we definitely feel that transformation kicking into high gear. This is just showing that it still takes a while for this big shift, metamorphosis to come full circle, even though we will have the huge breakthroughs in a very, very short near future, the next couple months, I'm guessing by the end of May, the world will be in a different place. But then come the years of adjustment, cleanup, getting slowly rolled over to a new economy, a new way of life. This is that Pluto transformation of shedding skin. So anyway, this is interesting. Mercury is accentuated here by this Mars. So this shows again that really in the end it is understanding which matters. Mercury here in this heliocentric chart, 10 degrees Pisces, together with Okiroi and Nessus again. It's all kind of repeating themes you see. It just shows the amazing synchronicity which happens between that sacred geometry of the planets and the individual beings involved in this. The American nation being a being in itself, so is the present time a being in that sense, a living entity. How they interact, how this triggers all that amazing multidimensional manifestation. So I'm very excited, as you can hear. I mean, we all are suffering right now from whatever the present situation is, but just understand this is temporary, this is important, this is needed. It's the fuel which is finally setting that huge shift into motion, and it's already rolling. It's like a big locomotive. It's already starting, maybe still at inches per second, but it's gaining momentum. The big engine has started rolling. So that's kind of what it feels with this present energy. And then yes, we get into the new moon of April 11, and look at that, 9 degrees Virgo, 9 degrees Pisces for Washington DC. I mean, it couldn't be more obvious. We're coming into the core phase of the exposure of all the dark stuff, very, very nasty stuff. And don't indulge in it. Just know it's important. Let it be what it is. It has been that way for a long time. It needs to come out in the ocean, into the open, and let it go. Disperse it. Go past it, transform it, transcend it. That's what all these planets help us do here with Pallas. Pallas is art and science, which really is a way to transform reality, to look at it through a perspective where you're not fully involved, I would say. An artist, I guess that's really the wonderful thing about an art, engaging in art. You're looking at reality and you're then transforming it into a piece of art, and transforming it into a scientific theory. So Pallas has a great ability to transcend, to not take things so personal, but see it in a bigger picture and see it as something which has a message. The new moon, yes, we see in the 23rd degree of Aries here on April the 11th. And then on the 18th, we have a superior conjunction with Mercury, and this will be the high point of a 4-month period. Just wanted to end this here with this chart. I guess I have one more with the midpoints, and then we leave it for this. Right, this is the one I really wanted to end this little video with, because this seems to be when things get to a climax, when we get to the red hot zone, and that is the 18th, and by then we are in the core days. Just to zoom back here quickly, if my computer is fast enough to get there. Okay, yeah, it's really slow today, sorry for that. Are you coming? I must have too many windows open. That always happens when... Anyway, let's forget it. You believe me. You can go back to it. It's the core days, that blue column in the center of the... let me see if it's coming. It just doesn't want to come. Never mind. The core days. So the core days is the center column of the Mayan calendar, that blue column between April 14th and that is May the 3rd. That's kind of the center time. You see Chiron and Uranus, the Sun, this is the heliocentric chart again. That's why the Sun is showing up here just little. But this is on the ascendant opposing Venus. Yeah, anyway, I leave it at that. Thanks for tuning in and listening. And yes, talk to you soon again, and enjoy the ride. Take it not too personal. We are here in something much, much, much bigger than we can imagine. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.